Okay, so we're here to talk about foundations. I'd like to talk about why, what really makes us different than other people that are teaching, energy healing or shamanism, So, I mean, my own experience, I already know because I've been doing this a long time, but what I'm very aware of is there's hardly anybody, or there isn't anyone truly who teaches the depth at which we teach. Okay. The way in which we can track things and find the core, and there is so much to it, right, Chris? Like a clearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, a typical clearing could cover what, what would you like for you, Chris? What happens in just a normal regular clearing?
No such thing. No
Yeah.
such thing. Yeah. It just goes deeper and deeper. And it can be the wildest stuff, but it's always something new. And the ability to really be able to track and perceive that is a key that I got from the foundations training with you that I think is exceptional, is unusual. Not many people, a lot of people can feel energy and sort of do something, but they can't really track with precision where this stuff is coming from and how to actually get in there so you can make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So for example, something really simple, like someone could say, like I feel like I can't open my heart to my partner. That seems pretty benign, right? And then going in and tracking, I mean, what I'm doing is I'm actually looking at a real actual situation because I can't make shit up. It just doesn't work. But just remembering someone in particular that, so first I go in and I do see blockages in the heart, but then I also saw major interferences, what would appear to be almost like a curse energy. And then also going back into past lives and having experiences, traumas where they stopped, they felt unsafe or they felt like they couldn't trust. And so it began, it's like an unraveling that goes into so many pieces and components into the subconscious, finding where you're afraid to have love, all the traumas and horrors that you've lived through relationship that got anchored in, any promises, those vows you made that said, I'll never love again, I'll never let anybody in again. Okay, this lifetime or others, interferences, curses, people interfering, people wanting to cause harm, people blocking. Okay, I mean, it just goes on and on and on for one simple little issue. Okay, but like Chris was saying, the ability to track is key, and also knowing about all the interferences. That's the other thing, right,
Mm.
Chris? I mean, what would you say about that kind of thing? Dang.
Yeah, it's a side of the work which people are often afraid to go into because it's intimidating. The sense of dark, sort of being messed with by really malevolent forces that are actually there and have an influence on humanity, and we need to deal with it as part of life. But there aren't many people that really can, and so I feel very lucky that I got to learn with you because this is sort of one of your specialities. I feel is being able to actually address the darker side of all of the energetics that can be there. And it is a big deal. It's a big deal to be able to learn how to face that and what you can do to clean it up. So you've got dark forces, you've got the satanic stuff that's been on Earth, you've got stuff from other dimensions, which is trying to mess with humanity, trying to affect us and influence us, and then all the sort of the different polarities of ET beings, which can be really wild. We've had lifetimes on lots of other planets, and those connections are still part of what's going on for us and part of what's showing up in our lives. Um, and then there's the discarnates, which are all of the soup of human consciousness and energy that we're swimming in, and that all has an impact. And I think that your work has been to map and to track and really understand sort of what's behind suffering on a human level energetically, and then how to begin to release that and clear that up, which is a big project. And for me, it was like a master key. Here's someone showing you how you can look into your own heart, what is troubling you the most, and to be able to actually do something with that is extraordinary. Very lucky, because most of us sort of suppress what we have going on, and then we try and get through life, and we're sort of really banged up and traumatized. That is, sort of limbs are missing on an inner level, and you kind of just try and push through it. But have the opportunity to go deep into healing and to learn how to heal others is a real gift. So this has been an incredible experience for me and everyone who takes the foundations. You know, I've seen people's lives just changed by it, and what a cool thing! What a cool thing!
Yeah. Yes, and you know, like a lot of people that are healers out in the world, even people that are psychic, they can do a few things, but you know, the ability to actually not only track, but the ability to actually move, clear, dissolve, eliminate energy interferences is, you know what I mean? It's like if you can't move energy, you know, you're not going to help really assist anyone. So you also start
Yes.
really learning how to move the energy. That's some of the biggest stuff for a lot of people. I mean, I've known a lot of psychics in my life, and I've taught a lot of psychic development programs, classes, and the ability to move energy is key. If you can't move it, you're not going to change anybody.
Yeah. So actually, you're totally right. After the tracking, the next thing is being able to really work with the divine to release things, and that's an art. It's a whole art, isn't it? And it goes. It's I love the way that you sort of structure the foundations, because it gives a lot of room for the person's own gifts to come forward. We actually have a very detailed system for clearing things, but it's kind of it's open, because the way that real healing arises is in the moment of the moment. And it's as you said to me once, it's like everything is brand new every time. You have to be totally open to what presents. You have to be completely centered in the truth of your being. And then that's where real healing, sort of from the divine, kind of manifests from. And it's a real ride learning to do that, and it feels extraordinary. It feels like flying when you're doing it, and all this stuff is moving, and the divine is sort of working through this, through you, through the other person. It's like it's an extraordinary feeling. I think people get hooked on it as well, in a good way. Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry. Ah.
It's that time of the year where stuff is really, we got the season change here, and everyone around me is coming down with colds, because it's just like there's a lot going on. Yeah, gosh. And I think when I took foundations with you, it would have been, I think maybe, is it 6 or 7 years ago? 2015? No, 2000. It would have been 2017, 18ish, I think. So that's, yeah, maybe around 6 years ago. And when I learned with you, one of the things you told me was that the foundations used to be 2 years. It used to be a 2-year program with you in person. So this was when you were in Colorado, and it would be run over 2 years as these intensive weekends where people would come and you would teach it in a really, and it was an in-depth study. And I remember I was so excited when you began to offer the foundations online, because it meant that I was in the UK, and it meant that I could take it with you. And as part of that, you sort of worked to compress it down to 1 year and then 6 months. And we've sort of done that. And we after running the foundations, I think it's maybe 3 or 4 times that I've been involved with it. We've decided to kind of make it to expand it back to more of its original size, not quite there, but 10 months. And I think the reason for doing this is that it just made sense, because people after the foundations have tended to need more time to learn and practice. It's sort of like every 2 foundation classes actually have asked me to teach more modules to them after the end of the foundations classes, and they've all been eager to get into apprenticeship and other programs, because there's just not, it needs more time. It was too compressed.
Yes, it's true. See, it's like you're getting a lot of information that is brand new, like foreign, and it takes time for you to be able to absorb what you're hearing, then also to put it into practice. So during the 2 years, these were always in person, which was really amazing, doing stuff in person, and because there's so much can happen, in that environment. And it would be a 2-day weekend, you know what I mean? Like in
Mm.
person, 2 days, 2 years. What it did was it anchored in the teachings for people so that they began to live it. Like if you look at our like our accelerator, David, he's one of the original people that took the foundations when I lived in Colorado, and he's on the team, but he knows this work. It's it's in him. It
Mm.
is. Same thing with Chris, it's in him. And there's a major difference when something is in you, because then you know what you're doing. You know what you need to do to find and unravel and clear certain things. And so we dropped it down and dropped it down, and then we made it a 6-month based on other, like other people's suggestions. But the truth was is that nothing was anchored in, and people would end up taking the apprenticeship, getting even more stuff, but still it takes them a couple years for
Yeah.
this energy to you to really be able to do this kind of work.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
noticed that for me, it was 2 years after starting foundations for me to actually have kind of absorbed it and sort of integrate it enough to actually have it, and then it
Hmm.
would deepen from there. So, and it keeps deepening. It's just an extraordinary process that the work continues just to deepen and expand. But I that was my feeling, is that it took the 2 years. So it
Hmm.
needed more time and I was doing a lot of practice in that time. I continued just to work with the people in from my course. So it was a big learning. Yeah,
Right.
I don't know how
Yeah.
we taught it in 6 months.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. I mean, all you're really doing is giving them the info. I mean, you're still practicing what you're learning, but again, the skills that you start to develop based on what you're learning, it's like anything. You're practicing the piano, okay? Unless you're some kind of, someone who just was born and they got these abilities, your normal average person, or even people that are excelled, it's still going to take time before you master the piano, right? Same thing is true with this work. It does take time. Even right now, some of the accelerators are still taking and they're attending an advanced apprenticeship with me, because there's still so much information that you can't cover in foundations. Foundations is that it's the foundation, the stability that you build everything from. But even that, there's still so many pieces that you're not going to get in foundations. And this is why people are continuing to
Yeah,
stay with the apprenticeship with me, like our team, like 1, 2, 3, there's three or four that are still continuing to take apprenticeship.
yeah. And I noticed that every time I took foundations with you, because I sat in some more classes, you would teach it totally different. There would be stuff coming through that had never been there before, because the people are different, the energy is different, and what wants to come through is completely different. And I just found it fascinating. It's really alive. I think that's the thing about this work, is that it's not just a package of information. It's like these are real things that have a life, and they change depending on who's in the training, because then they have a different background and their wounding's totally different. So sometimes you need to go into, so on some courses you've really gone into relationships a lot because of what was coming forward for people, and that's something we've put back into this foundations, is really looking at relationship, the patterns of unraveling what's going on in relationships in deeper level, as well as the dark night of the soul, that whole kind of that period in someone's path where all of their deep stuff from the past, and where the dark forces are really kind of hitting them, comes up to be looked at as a dynamic. And things like the well of grief and other things that you didn't include in every foundation training but are there as part of the teachings, we've kind of been able to put back in a way so that we're going to get to cover more of those things, which is just so exciting. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because it will mean more transformation for people, and they'll have more work. They'll also have more change in the course. They'll be able to go deeper, unravel more, and sort of come out the other side and just kind of in a really elevated and awake place, which is part of the foundations. It's a big journey of healing and transformation. It's a really intense ride, but it's one that, you know, changes lives. It changed my life completely, and it still is. You know, yeah.
Yes, I remember, because we've talked about this many times, but it's always fun to talk about it because it was such a trip. I mean, I met Chris through a mutual healer teacher. She actually took some foundations with me, and then she told Chris about it, and then he started off being a client. It was so cool. I just loved working with Chris, and he knew the drill. It's like, tell me what you need, and he'd lay down and we'd unravel, and it just blew his mind. It blew his mind. Chris,
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, I think there might be new people, but maybe share a little bit about what was happening for you, and then when you found me and what happened.
Yeah, I was a young person who had just been through 8 years of really strong depression and anxiety, and it had just gotten worse and worse and worse through my teens and early 20s. And I'd tried everything, and nothing was helping. And I was meditating, and I was doing all this stuff, and, you know, therapy, and none of it was touching it. And I remember I heard about Bonnie through another teacher who was one of her students, Susan Carlson, and eventually I ended up getting a private session with Bonnie, and it was suddenly like someone turned on the light, and all of this deep pain began to spill out of me in a way that nothing else had touched, nothing else had been able to make a difference. And it felt like coming home, and it felt like, and the quality and feeling of the light that was coming through, just really touched me at a very deep level. And I think it was either that first session or the second session where I just had a very strong feeling, like a knowing, this is my teacher. And I don't think I think I didn't mention it at the time, but it was just a very clear but quiet feeling. And I realized that I really, you know, this person was doing something extraordinary that I really wanted to understand and do more of it. And so I think at one of our sessions I said, you know, I'd love to come take the course. He said, yeah, well, I teach in Colorado, and it'd be great to have you down, and, you know, blah blah blah. And then things later lined up in a way that we began teaching online, and I just got pulled in, and I never looked back. But it was very much a coming home. It was very much a coming home, and yeah, a blessing, a real blessing in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so cool. And now he's one of our main teachers and accelerators. It's awesome. Such a trip. And Chris he's an acupuncturist. He was going to school for acupuncture. I remember that. And you did finish, but this is the path you chose. So it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Like, really cool,
Yeah. I sort of found that, you know, I love Chinese medicine, I love acupuncture. I haven't completely walked away from it, but I found that, you know, what people really needed healing with, it wouldn't touch. And this went deeper. And that to me was made, you know, that's where my heart was, because what you're teaching goes really deep. Like, can you say more about how deep this work goes compared to other things? Because it's just different. Like, it's just different to other modalities. Like, it goes a lot deeper.
Yeah. So in I've had physical therapists, chiropractors, licensed, therapists, talk therapy, different kinds of modalities of therapies, and, nurses, and I mean, just a gamut of people that do their own modalities. But what would happen is when they took our training, everything changed for them. Everything, like for example, physical therapy. I remember clearly one of my students, he was well known, he was a major guy. And when he took this, then he could start releasing other things like discarnates or implants or devices or mechanisms or foreign energy that wouldn't allow the body to heal fully. If you don't get those out, you're not going to be successful in maintaining a full healing. Okay. So even chiropractors, it's like they started taking energies out and discarnates out and things that they would sense and see. They didn't have to say anything. They just cleared the energy and miracles would happen. Okay. So it's not a modality that you have to be an energy healer. You could be anybody who deals with humans. And for example, like even therapists, talk therapists, I can't tell you how many people I've had that do, that they're a licensed therapist. And there's many titles, many labels, the PhDs and all the all the different uh, places of that type of work. And I mean, a person could just, even in the talk therapy, they could have great success, sometimes just by clearing out entities. It's such a trip, okay? But my point is this isn't, to learn this, it isn't just for someone who wants to be a healer. Anybody who deals with humans on any level can benefit from this training, this teaching. And then like people that also they want to, for their own selves, they just want to understand things. And a lot of people, I used to have a lot of people that would take the training just for them, to get the benefit of what was going to happen, and then also the learning and teachings of it. But when you're in the training every week, you're doing trades, you're having an accelerator guiding you and helping you to anchor in the teachings. But each time clearings are happening, so you're also practicing during class, and we also practice in between. So there's a constant movement of a focusing on your own self and unraveling major core issues. You know what I mean? So you're evolving, you're waking up, you're getting, you're healing and getting, more and more authentically yourself in this type of experience. So my point is it's not just for healers, it's for anyone who wants to go deeper in their own selves. And there, in some ways, there's higher level consciousness teachings that are a part of the foundations. It's like you have to understand certain things, you discover certain things that are part of a higher level teachings. For example, we teach there are no victims, right? I mean, and people don't like that. What do you mean there's no victims? What do you mean? Look what's happening, and look at this, and what about when that happens? What about little kids, and on and on? Okay, so you learn about the truth. You discover why there are no victims. You discover that the soul, at a soul level, you are making agreements and having, like, for example, what's happening right now in Israel and the Palestinians, and all that conflict. It's nothing new. And what's happening though is lots of people are dying. Well, here's what you're not necessarily aware of when you're thinking, oh, they're victims. Well, wait a second, let's track it back. Oh yeah, look. Oh yeah, these people did atrocities to others, and then they've also, some decided to be sacrifice themselves, or to know themselves in these particular ways because they've done all the, they've done different things. So in a sense, there are no victims. Everything's agreed upon. Everything. I don't care what you're experiencing. You've called it in on some level for your own higher good, to unravel something, to learn something, to evolve, whatever. So, so you're learning higher consciousness teachings in the Foundations program. It's life-changing. It's just, it's not just, okay, oh yeah, learn how to heal. It's so beyond that. It's a way of life. It's I mean, Chris, Chris, have you found, okay, I've been up against this a little bit lately. Pretty soon there's like, we keep waking up, evolving, expanding. And then we're around others who haven't, or aren't, or partially. It's like there's no meeting ground. It's like it's like hanging out with people. I mean, I can be with anybody and just feel pure love, and I want to be fed as well. So finding that meeting place where people feed you, that begins to become less and less and less. That's one of the downfalls. But we have community of like-minded people.
It's so crucial, because it's such a revelation for lots of people who are aware of energy and have always sensed there was more going on, and see things and know that there's more to life. And then suddenly to be around people that really understand them and are on the same page, and that they're not strange or weird or different. They're just waking up. They're waking up to these different realms of energy. And it's very supportive to be in that kind of environment. And everyone's really oriented towards healing. Everyone really has a lot of compassion and care for each other. And that becomes an extraordinary environment for change and for our issues to come out, because we need a lot of holding in sort of safety to really let our issues come up in a healing environment. And because of the length of the foundations, where we really spend more time with each other, more time with the teachers, more time with the teachings, and more time with a group that we really come to know, it gives a perfect environment for being able to actually be able to support each other to go deep, to be able to get what's inside of you that is stuck and most in pain that you don't want to look at, to be able to face that, to be able to actually transform that and move forward. Because life to me feels so like, for me it felt like I'd been thrown in this pool and I had no idea what was going on. I had no navigation. I just like being hit with all of this stuff, my karmic stuff, my past life stuff, all these different influences and beings. And the foundations gave me a way of saying, okay, well, actually, here it is. Relax into the truth of your being, into awareness, into who you really are, and now look at what's here. And don't be afraid of looking at what's here. And here's a way of understanding it and beginning to work with it. Being able to meet life, even when it feels impossible. We really need teachings like that. The world is getting harder and harder in some ways to live in as things accelerate, as what's been suppressed for so long and the sort of collective level of humanity is coming up. We've just been suppressing our stuff on a big level for a long time, and now we have to face it. And we need a way of being able to do that, sort of as a group and also individually. And this is one way of doing that. This is a way of transforming what we meet energetically in a way that we can free our consciousness and then be more available and present and loving in life, which is the path. It's certainly the SA path is about heart, which is another thing I think is very beautiful here. Is that it's just the deeper you go into the teachings, just becomes more and more about this sort of when I tune into SA, it's this sort of angelic golden energy of heart that just illuminates all of the teachings. It comes from that source. And the thing worth mentioning with training with you, Bonnie, and the Foundations course is that you often use the idea of going direct, and actually that the class has a transmission. It has a transmission energetically where you help people to go direct. And it's the same when I'm teaching. We're not just giving you information and sort of, we're actually taking you to different realms and frequencies and waking up your system so that it can engage with and recognize and it's activated so it can actually do things in these realms and spaces. So it's a process of transformation where you need to be around people who have those frequencies, as you said, sort of anchored in them, so that they can sort of light that in you and give that to you. And I find that the Foundations class has its own transmission. I was very surprised the first time I taught Foundations. I taught this whole 6-month class. I was doing what I was doing. I was doing everything I could to bring through the energetics of it. And then right in the final module,
Whoops.
that's all good.
Okay, there you are. Okay, good. Right in the final, you were right.
Final meditation of the final module of the class. I felt you come in really strongly into the group field, and you just downloaded the whole Foundations course again straight into everyone. And every foundation since has been like that. There is an energetic to the class. There's a transmission from the divine and from Bonnie's sort of higher levels that informs what we're doing. So there's a for people who maybe aren't aware of that side of things, I just wanted to illuminate that actually these teachings are a transmission energetically, and that it's very engaged on those levels. You know, Bonnie's work helped me make sense of and understand other traditions where that's present, because with her it's very tangible and it's very direct. And I found that your teachings helped me actually get into sensing and tracking and being able to do things in a way that other traditions and teachers could not. And that's, I think, part of the strength of the Foundations, is that it's this direct transmission of energetic capacity and skill and knowledge that's extraordinary. Yeah, so it's a ride.
It is a ride. It's, I'm kind of remembering too, years and years ago, back in like 2011, 2012, I actually had several students that had studied with Four Winds. If you're not familiar with Four Winds, it's also a shamanic training program. And it's a great program. And people, people would come study with me simply because they got so much more quickly, rather than something being taken several years to get through, So it's like the fast track, because in part, everything is speeded up. We don't need to go slow, even though, like what we're talking about, like it does take a couple years to anchor it in, but at the same time, the information you're getting, the information is coming in, and then as you practice it, that's where it starts to anchor in. But you're getting information and teachings really quickly, and your whole being is absorbing that, and there's just so much more to it than what you're
Yeah.
going to get in so many other modalities. And the fact that we don't do traditional shamanism, like back in the day, see, what people don't know is I actually did teach more traditional shamanism when I was teaching this program before I went to the desert, because that's when everything changed for me.
Mm.
But prior to that, I had the Renaissance Center 13 years, teaching all these healing modalities, all this intense stuff. But the acceleration, the old ways, like we would, I used feathers and drums and, all kinds of stuff, you guys. I'd lay down next to the person, make sure I can maintain body contact when I'm doing retrievals. And pretty soon it's like, it doesn't have to be this way. So I stopped teaching that. We stopped teaching that completely. So by the time
Mm.
Chris was there, he was already in the new the new paradigm, so to speak, or what we were doing, and how everything began to accelerate and change. So I stopped teaching any kind of traditional shamanism. I stopped doing the old way of emotional healing, which the Renaissance Center, the whole thing is about shamanism and emotional healing. workshops, and going into the subconscious. But now we can literally clear out most emotional energy, right, Chris? It's like,
Yeah.
so that's what's left. Yeah, but then what's left is true stuff that you do need to feel. No more of the discarnates needing to feel to go through it or live their life through you, or wounded energy that you just keep spinning in and having to go really deep in order to unravel it. It's like clear out some of this emotional energy and then do some emotional work. It's so different.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is definitely, we are a new paradigm, big time.
Yeah, no, something entirely different. And I wanted to mention that as part of this course, this foundations we're going to teach, that you're going to make a couple of appearances to teach as
Mm-hmm.
well, which is
Mm-hmm.
really thrilling, because I think that's it. We're so lucky. We're so lucky that you're here with the teachings, and I think it's going to be so brilliant to have you sort of highlight a couple of teachings on
Mm-hmm.
the course as well. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. That's gonna be fun. Yep. So I'll be stepping in or coming in and giving some downloads and teachings or whatever. I'll do that a few times throughout the training with Chris, and I think it'll be a blast to have a lot of fun just playing with that. Yeah.
yeah.
So.
Um, I think yeah, this is going to be a very special foundations training. It's going to go really deep. You're going to get a deeper transformation and training with it. And it's my hope when we looked at sort of restructuring the course to make it a deeper training, is that it's going to anchor in the work more, and people are going to have a deeper capacity with the sensing than the way we've taught it before, because we're going to spend the modules that we have are we're teaching all of the same material from the last course, but we've expanded it to be able to go deeper into issues. What I've found with the course so
Mm-hmm.
far is that people got pretty good at tracking and clearing energy, but on some level, people often don't really want to face what's difficult. They don't want to face the darkest stuff or the most
Mm-hmm.
difficult, rawest stuff. They get comfortable with a layer of energy where they want to work. But they going past that, going past sort of into the depth of where someone is stuck, it takes a bit of training, and it takes a certain willingness that's a little bit different, because usually we're all avoiding our issues, and guess what, when you're doing that, you're also subconsciously avoiding the issues of the people you're working on. So I found that, you know, people would so might they would essentially not be going quite as deep as quickly as I would like. You know, I was impatient. I wanted them to be going right to the core of things right from the beginning in the foundations, even though that's kind of unreasonable. People do need time to be able to go and do a deeper clearing. But the way that we're teaching it now is that we've integrated the modules with looking at specific issues, such as the well of grief and the dark night of the soul. And in these sort of, you know, taking two very deep thematic issues, we're going to take the people that we've learned who are training with us and teach them how to go right to the core of an issue with all of the foundations and components of a clearing, including working with dark forces, clearing entities discarnate, soul retrieval, past life unraveling, ET interference, the emotional component. So we're really encouraging a deeper training. And as part of the course as well, we're going to touch on clearing trauma and sexuality, which is something that has come up in classes before. I've sometimes taught extra modules. Bonnie's taught a whole class around sexual trauma. Sometimes it came up in the foundations classes you were teaching as well. But we're going to give a specific training in one of the modules around it, which is so important because, you know, so many people unfortunately have had to deal with that and need real support and healing approach to be able to address it and unravel that. The other components that we're going to look at is I found a sort of the first and last modules of the course are going to open up really being able to go deeper into the energetic bodies and the energy system, and really take our tracking, sort of get us quickly and deeply into tracking. And the final module is going to refine all our practitioner skills and mastery to a point where we integrate all of the class together. So yeah, I'll talk a bit more in another video about the breakdown of the course, but we've essentially expanded it to be able to integrate the teaching into someone a bit more, which is really cool. And David will be teaching a sort of masterclass, a few classes during the foundations, which is fantastic because he's another very senior practitioner at SA, and he has, as Buddy says, the work is just in him, and he teaches extraordinary things from a kind of from his own point of view, which bringing all of his sort of specialism in, because he's a real specialist in many fields that are like working with the dark and working with ET frequencies and high dimensional energy. He's in his own game with that. Yeah.
Yep. So I was going to say we could take questions, but I can't see that. Can you see questions on your screen?
Unfortunately not. Let's see.
Something.
I can see. I can see some. I can see some. So I can't see any questions, but I can. There we go.
You can see writings or what people.
Yeah. Now we go.
Okay, cool. Let me just. Whoops. I was trying to do something and then I lost the side view. I don't know how to get it back, so I don't want to mess with it. But this was pretty cool, where you can see us up close, basically.
I like that.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking too, we've got, what is it, Chris? We've got some things, specials for people that are here right now.
Yes. So I can pop them into the chat and let's see, how am I going to do that? Give me a moment while I just bring that in.
Yeah. So there's a foundations. I'm looking at what we got. We've got a foundations training early bird special. And remember now, it's a 10-month program, and you have practice sessions in between. You have an accelerator working with you in between. There's just a lot to it. So we do have some specials going on. And if you, I think you'd get that foundations training special to save $2,000. You'd have to sign up today. Is that right, Chris? That would be one for today to get that 2,000 off.
I'm
But
just going to have a
there
look.
will be
Yeah.
other, there'll be other things too. But
So I have it that the Black Friday to Cyber Monday deal is from the 24th, so from tomorrow of this month to the 27th of November. So
okay.
I guess that's that's for 4 days from tomorrow, and that's the special price, which you'll get, which we'll post in a moment. And just to answer a couple of questions, if you do have questions in the chat, the class starts in February next year, 2024. It's the first weekend of every month, and it's all conducted online. So that's no matter where you are in the world, you can take this class, and the energetics work great. I've done all my foundations training online, and it works really well. People get really good. I think almost all the accelerators except David train with Bonnie online, and it works really, really well. In fact, it makes people more psychic because you have to be able to bridge. You have to be able to. It encourages and supports that. And Ria has asked Bonnie, if a person attending foundations training, can they clear themselves of discarnates? As in, can they clear their own selves of discarnates?
Yes. Yeah. You learn how to do you learn about discarnates, but it's going to be, I'm going to tell you right now, it'll blow your mind. Okay. I remember I just want to say, when I first started doing, shamanism and discarnates, I actually learned about discarnates in 1987. And I once I discovered that, man, I was like, oh my God. And I wanted to work on everybody. Okay. But when I first started off, I was using hypnosis because I didn't know how to talk to them, whatever. And I'd get the yes and no, maybe. And pretty soon I'd be going, is there any more discarnates in there? I get a no. And I go, well, who's this right here? So that just shattered all that. And then I began to really start tracking. Whoa, I don't know what that
Sorry
was.
about that.
um, and so it's like I just started discovering, oh, you don't just have one or two or three or four or five or six. No, you got hundreds. So yes, you learn how to remove your own discarnates. There's so many pieces to it and many different reasons why they're there. So it's learning how to unravel all of that, and then also learning how how to stop taking on discarnates. So there's just so much that happens on the energy levels, the unseen realms that people just aren't aware of. And once you start discovering this stuff, it is mind blowing, shocking. Okay. But it's a trip. So yes, you will learn how to do all of that. Yeah. Get your own out, get others out. It's a trip. It's really cool. Unmute. You're
I'm
muted.
just posting the link.
Oh, perfect. Got it. Yeah. And Chris, I thought there was something about people signing up today. Do you remember anything about that? I can't remember. I know there was something.
Yes, you're right. You're right. So the foundation's training early bird special. So that's the save $2,000. Is this is today?
Today
The Black
only. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Black Friday special is $1,000 extra dollars off of the foundation's training, and it also offers another $1,500 worth of pre-recorded material, including which you can choose from our vault of group here, energy clearings, and also the masterclass series, which is really cool because that's one of the flagship programs on
Oh
YouTube.
my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the master class. Yes. So they would get those record. Oh, that's pretty darn cool. Yeah. So, there's a lot of perks if you sign up like today or even before. I think so you're saying the Black Friday thing goes through how long, Chris?
The Black Friday deal and Cyber Monday deal is through from now until the 27th of November. But yeah, I've just posted the links.
Okay.
So there's a link for joining Sarah if you are in the Australian class time zone. So if you're in Asia or Australia, New Zealand, then you can join her class. So the class will be in her time zone, and you want to use that link which says the special and that ends in AUS for Australia. And otherwise, if you're in Europe or America, you want to join me in this the American and European time zone. And there's a link there which just doesn't have AUS at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And just so people really get it, this is only today. This isn't going to happen again at all. Okay. So the $2,000 discount is only today. The Black Friday one is only going to be for a few days. And then also the $1,500 worth of other product, that's only for a few days. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, they're going to do some other thing, they're going to give a discount. We might give some discount, but it won't be what these are, guaranteed. This is only right now. That's it. And the next couple of days. So if you don't get in on today for the 2,000, you can still get in for 1,000 off in the next several days. But after that, you won't. It's over.
Yeah.
So yeah. So if you got any inkling to take foundations, and you might want to go ahead and sign up. Okay. So it does start in February, and again, we do have 2 different time zones, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna. It's open up now to us. We used to have Australian students who would come on, and for them it'd be the middle of the night, be like 2 a.m. and they were, really dedicated, really fantastic, and just so impressive. But I'm not sure whether I would be able to do that. And so Sarah is going to teach the class for people in Asia and Australia and her side of the world. So that would be really, really, really exciting and a great way to be able to join the training. And for I've just mentioned, because it's often relevant, that for many people, they need a payment plan to be able to make this work, and to email We Care, and you'll be referred to Ofa, who will help work that out. And that can be often important for people to know. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. All righty. So is there any more questions? I can't see any questions myself because I lost my sidebar. But maybe you can still see if there's any questions.
They need the link, and I put it in the YouTube, but it looks like it hasn't gone in. Maybe let me see if I can post it here. Just give me one moment while I
Okay. So Chris is going to try and find. Oh. You guys, we're still trying to figure out how to navigate StreamYard, because StreamYard does 3 different places, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So we're learning how to navigate StreamYard. But while we're waiting for Chris to post those links in case anybody wants them, unfortunately I can't see any questions, but I just want to say, for me personally, developing and creating foundations took years. Okay, so years of hands-on healing, years of tracking and working with thousands of people before I actually started teaching this work. I started teaching it in, I think it was like 1994, and and back then it was taught differently than it is now. So now it's definitely deeper, more profound, more tracking, more information, and we're not using the old ways, which means the shamanic old ways, meaning learning how to shift your awareness immediately to start going into other time and space, and then also shifting your awareness to go into the past lives, and to track these places with your own awareness and consciousness without needing to go into some kind of altered state. You start learning how to, just like right now, boom, be in this part, be here, be over here, be across the world, take your awareness right now. So, it's that kind of training as well, where you're just really learning how to go into an altered state without having to do breath or drumming or sound or something that would take you into an altered state, which is what I used to do. Such a crack up. But then back then is what we did need to do. It's like I would use breath, having people do the breath, certain breathing to get them into an altered state so they could separate their consciousness from the body. And then also in any kind of healing work. So that's all old ways, So now we're in new paradigm, and with new paradigm, it's like, we are definitely. I'm going to remove this one. There we go. I don't know what happened, Chris, but yeah, the new paradigm is happening, people. So everything is changing. Everything. Some people don't like it, but all these ceremonies we used to do, all this stuff we used to do, we don't need it. Don't need it anymore. Yeah. So, Chris, do we have any other questions at this time? Because we're coming on to our hour point of time. You're muted. Unmute. I don't think I can unmute you, can I? Whoops. Shit. Chris, sorry. Whoops, Chris, you gotta come back. Sorry. I did something. Sorry, people. It was like I said, we're still learning. Chris, I don't know if you can hear me, but we'll get it. We'll get it dialed in. We will unless we don't, okay? Okay, so I was trying to, there he is. There he is. Oh, there he is. Okay, okay, remove that one. Okay, there we go.
All right.
Chris. All right, Chris. Sorry about that. Tech. See, we don't do tech, man. Okay, so were we able to post any of the links for? Okay, perfect.
Yes, the links are in the chat.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions that you see or any other things? Okay, all right, people. So again, big discount today, huge discount today only. I guess maybe 24 hours. I don't even know when it ends, but today only. And then you do have an opportunity in the next couple of days. So, jump on. Jump on. Anything else you want to say, Chris, at this time?
Just really looking forward to seeing you there.
Yep, and I'll be there too on occasion. I'll be dropping in, the drop in. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And hopefully we'll see you at a foundations training, and look forward to, having Chris and teach you, and it'll be awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Okay, now
See you later,
hopefully,
guys.
yeah, let's see if I can end this. Uh-oh. Okay, hang on now because I don't have that sidebar. I don't have that other area. Chris, do you have the ability to end it? I don't see. Let's see here. Yeah, see, something happened. Oh, Chris. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just close it out, and hopefully you see all the postings and on all those pages. All right, till next time.